All right, welcome back to the Adobe After Effects tutorial with Mr. Will. Thanks for joining me again. In this segment, we're going to show you how to make some 3D motion graphics, all right? So, in this segment, we are going to replicate this 3D animation right here, these motion graphics. All right, by the end of this tutorial and demonstration, you will be able to do this as well. All you need to do is just be patient, be confident, and follow along, all right? So, we're going to be going through, again, 3D motion graphics. Yard by yard is hard, inch by inch is a cinch. So make sure you take a deep breath. Woosah, all right? Understand it is not that hard. Take your time, pause the video, rewind it back. Take as long as you need to get comfortable, because once you get comfortable, you'll be confident. And once you're confident, your content creation, the quality will continue to improve. So let's go ahead and jump into the exercise, shall we? All right, so here we are. We're in Adobe After Effects. We want to create a new project, so we've done that. So we're going to create a new composition. Okay, we're going to just leave it composition 1, and I'm okay with the settings. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by coming up to the Windows tab, and we're going to select Workspace. Make sure all panels is checked. Come down to reset all panels to save layout. All right, I'm going to do that one more time. Now we can follow along. We're going to come up to the top. We're going to click the Windows, scroll down to Workspace, make sure all panels is checked, and then come down to reset all to save layouts. Okay. All right, so now we're here looking at the Adobe After Effects interface. We're all looking at the same thing. So let's start off by using the ellipse tool. All right, it's the rectangular tool, but you hold down the mouse on the expansion arrow, and you come down and you create the ellipse tool. So with the ellipse tool, I'm going to come in the composition panel. While holding shift, I'm going to make a perfect circle. Okay, so I'm making a perfect circle right there. All right, so there's my circle. Lots of fun, huh? All right, so what we want to do, let's take this from the top. Let's go ahead and come down to the timeline panel. We come over to the layers. We see the shape layer, and we want to come over and we want to make this a 3D animation. All right, we want to make this 3D animation. So we check the 3D box. All right, so how do you know it? You hold the mouse over the icon and it says 3D layer. You make sure that is checked. Also, you want to come over in the timeline, and in the composition panel, and make sure that advanced 3D renderer is checked. All right, so you want to make sure it's advanced 3D renderer. All right, so once that's selected, we want to come back to the timeline panel. We want to come down to the geometry options. We want to set the extrusion depth to 20. We want to set the bevel depth to 10. All right, and then we want to come down to materials option and turn up spectacular shininess to 100%. Okay. All right, and then once that is done, we want to scroll up to the transform options. And set the Y rotation to 90. All right. And then we want to come up to the anchor point, to the center one, which is the Y rotation to 90. We want to come up to the anchor point. Oops. To the anchor point, come to the center value and increase it. Rotate it up to the top of the screen. Okay, so mine is set at about 313. Okay, so you can either use that or you don't have to. Okay, so what we want to do from this point now, we want to copy and duplicate this layer. All right, and then what we want to do is expand this layer. We want to expand the transform options, and we want to rotate, offset the Z rotation the Z orientation to 30 degrees. Oops. We undo that. Okay, so we have the Z rotation set to 30 degrees. All right, we're going to duplicate this layer 12 times. All right, so here we go again. Shape layer 3, come out of transform, and increase that by 30 degrees. So I'm going to 60. All right, I'm going to close this layer. I'm going to duplicate it again. All right, and then I'm going to come down to transform, increase the value by 30. That'll take it to 90 degrees. All right, and then we'll close that out. We'll duplicate it again. It'll be a total of 12 layers. Okay, so here you get layer 5, transform, increase by 30, and continue. Duplicate another layer, expand, transform, increase by 30, so that's 150. Okay. Going to duplicate that layer again to layer 7. We're going to expand, transform, and we're going to increase the 150 by 30, so now it's 180. All right, so as you see, we're going in 30% increments. All right, so we're at layer 7. Let's duplicate, Command D, expand, hit the transform button, and we're going to expand it by 30. All right, and then we're going to duplicate it again. We're almost there. We're getting closer. We're going to expand layer 9, expand the transform options, increase 210 by 30. That's 240. All right. We're going to duplicate layer 9. Now we got 10 layers. All right, come down, transform. It's at 240. We expanded by 30, so it's at 240. So now we go up 30, so that's 270. Okay. And so now we could create another layer. That's layer 10. Come down to transform. It's at 270. Increase that by 30. That's at 300. All right, and then we need one more. All right, so we're going to duplicate, Command D, come down to the transform option, expand it, come over to orientation, and increase to 300 by 30. So now that is 330. Okay, as you see, we have a full circle of like these different coin looking objects. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to come up to layer and create new, a null object. Okay, we want to create an object. And what a null object does is it allows you to, is basically attaching a camera onto our composition or into our 3D shapes. And so when you attach the camera, like you're attaching the camera to the 3D shape, and you can move the angle of the camera and it'll show like a different side. Like it's like moving the camera around your shape. So a null object is like adding a camera, and you're putting a null object around the shape to get different angles of it. All right, so think of a null object as a camera, okay? Just like a camera angle. So we've created a null object. We want to click in the timeline panel. We want to make this a 3D null object. All right. So now that we have a 3D null object, we want to parent every layer to the null object. Okay. So you do that next. You want to parent every layer to the null object. Okay. So one by one, you see me doing it. That way I'm making sure it's getting done. All right. Once we have this done, we want to offset. We want to come to the timeline panel, click on the null layers panel, the null layer, expand that, come to transform, and we want to change the X rotation, okay? And then we want to animate the Z rotation. All right, so we're going to click on the Z rotation, start a stopwatch animation. We're going to scroll forward a few frames. We're going to increase the Z value. All right, we created a keyframe indicated by the silver diamond in the timeline and the blue diamond in the layers panel. We want to scroll forward again, increase the Z value. Okay, we want to scroll forward again, increase the Z value. Okay, we're going to scroll forward again, increase the Z value. And we're going to scroll forward again, increase the Z value. I'm going to scroll forward again, increase the Z value, and then scroll forward again, and once again, increase the Z value. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to decrease the workspace to what we're working on, the work area, and we will give this a watch. All right, so let's click the space bar and let's watch this motion graphic animation. All right, so it's rendering slow, so I'm gonna come down to a third and let's see if that speeds things up. All right, so it's running a little bit smoother. As you see the green bar populating, it is rendering. So it'll get better each time, okay? So it's key that you see this. So now it's rendering at full speed. There we go. All right, so that is how you create motion graphics out of 3D shapes. All right, pat yourself on the back, congratulations, and I will see you in the next tutorial.